same with England. As a United fan, I see so much of Ole's Manchester United era in the Southgate era. And I've been saying this for a long time. I've heard ever since I heard the whole Southgate is basically Ole in the waistcoat. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing. You look at, the Euros, the finals with the Euros, mismanaged. You look at the last game too. You have a player like Tammy Abraham on the bench. You're trying to score. You still have two defensive midfielders on the field. You're playing a team in Italy, like an Italian team. Tammy Abraham is one of the top goal scorers in Italy. He can't come off the bench. Those are the things that is like you said, Sancho left at home, Maguire and Luke Shaw, who cannot even get a minute at Manchester United.
I don't know why.
Like, it's like, what are you doing?
Why is you don't have another? It's because Southgate made him the captain, so he feels bad. He's in a tough situation. He really should not have made Maguire the captain. I don't know. And I'm really concerned about World Cup, not for Real Madrid and our players, but mainly because of what the World Cup situation is. Just the fact that it's in Qatar. We've talked about this a lot of time, but we have to say it again. It is an embarrassing situation for football fans to have this humanitarian situation where we have to. It's football. It's football, and the players have been handcuffed in terms of how much they can petition, how much they can boycott, and how much they can even talk about it. And so it's up to the fans. It shouldn't be up to the fans. It should be up to those massive multinational corporations who are pumping all this money into the World Cup. That's who it should go up to. It should be them who are the ones who should be protesting. It should be them who are the ones who should be saying, you know what, you guys need to step up, and put FIFA on notice. But they won't. And of course, fans, if you're gonna put World Cup in the middle of the year when it's cold and 80% of the most populous countries in the richest countries in the world, Europe, Canada, North America, what are we gonna do? Obviously, we're gonna watch soccer during November, December. We're gonna boycott it. If it was in the summer, it'd be a lot easier to boycott it. I would just watch the semis and the finals. But that's the situation, and for me, I think the biggest story that's going to come out of the World Cup is the fact that England has once again underperformed. I don't believe in Gareth Southgate. I don't believe in the decisions he makes in terms of who he calls up. He has a wealth of riches, but rather than Sterling should not be called up. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Even if he's going to be called up, he should be second or third string. You have so many other wingers that you can be calling up. Your biggest problem is your striker situation. So what you should be doing right now is not calling up Kane, knowing Kane is going to be able to get fit and knowing Kane is going to be able to play. You should be trying to figure out what is going to be your backup if Kane gets injured. You should be figuring out what is going to be your backup to make sure Kane doesn't get injured as you make your way throughout the
tournament. Yeah,
but I think it's been like that for England, right? I think England just never had that striker, that coach that seems to be getting it, regardless if it's British, not British, etc. I mean, they dropped out of Nations League. I mean, they've been relegated. That's what it is. That's the truth behind it. I mean, yes, the Nations League isn't that important and so forth, but it's about competition instead of friendlies, and they've dropped out, and that just shows that their mental capacity before the World Cup is not there. They're not hit by injuries. Their top players are performing. So what's going on with England? I look at the South American teams and I'm like, the World Cup is going to be tough to play these South American teams. These guys are ready to go, and they're no joke. Like, I look at Brazil, I look at Argentina, I look at like Ecuador. I'm like, okay, these guys are ready to go. Europe, I don't know what's going on, but y'all better get your stuff together because they're freaking ready to go. It will be South American versus South American if we continue down this way. Like, even Italy.
Yeah, look at United. Look at Martinez's guy. Vamos! That's it. They're high fiving each other. Even Varane now was doing Vamos. Yeah, these guys look so hyped.
No, they are. You said it, man. They are ready, and it's interesting, right? Because in Europe, it's just Spain. It's just Spain who looks ready from back to front. All they are missing is that clinical striker.
Yeah,
that is all they're missing. And once that is figured out, oh my goodness, right?
Like, what's his name too? Like, if they have a good team, like what's his name? Their number 9.
Don't say Morata.
Morata, yeah,
Oh,
but he's not a. But I see what you're saying. But
he's
he's
not
a
even playing for
striker who can
Simeone,
still
man.
show up. He can still show up. So there, yeah, Spain is. Yeah, now that you mention it, I think Spain is the most complete team because you look at France, disjointed. Well, half the roster is injured,
After roster
and
is
also I think
incredible.
that a lot of these players that won the World Cup, I think they're in the twilight of their careers. Like Griezmann is in the same player. Benzema is at the opposite end of his career, right? Pogba is injury prone.
Yeah, he's not
Conte is
even gonna be
injury
there.
prone, right?
Conte
Like
might not
so,
even be there. Yeah.
exactly. So we're looking at the team. So it's obviously France has the talent for the future, kind of like Real Madrid. Like I think France is doing a great job with the transition. But like you said, I think same with England. As a United fan, I see so much of Ole's Manchester United era in the Southgate era. And I've been saying this for a long time. I've heard ever since I heard the whole Southgate is basically Ole in the waistcoat. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing. You look at the Euros, the finals with the Euros, mismanaged. You look at the last game too. You have a player like Tammy Abraham on the bench. You're trying to score. You still have two defensive midfielders on the field. You're playing a team in Italy, like an Italian team. Tammy Abraham is one of the top goal scorers in Italy. He can't come off the bench. Those are the things that is like you said, Sancho left at
Yep.
home, Maguire and Luke Shaw, who cannot even get a minute at
Those
Manchester
guys need to
United.
go. I don't know why.
Like it's like, what are you doing?
Why is you don't have another? It's because Southgate made him the captain, so he feels bad. He's in a tough situation. He really should not have made Maguire the captain. I don't know why it was not Kane. First of all, second of all, you have this goalkeeper situation. And first of all, Pickford should never have been your number one goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, you have Ramsdale.
You have
You know what I
Ramsdale.
mean?
And
Or
for
like
me,
Nick Pope. Like Nick Pope didn't really have. He hasn't really had the greatest of seasons.
he hasn't, but
Right?
at least he's getting minutes. Unlike Henderson, who he can't get minutes, and so you can't really put him in there, right? But for me, Maguire should not be on this squad, or at the very least should not be starting. And I'm always on Maguire, but I just don't understand why there's this belief in him. What does he bring you? What does he bring you? Let's be thinking
Because he
about it.
has the image of the typical British, the calm, like doesn't get into too much trouble. He says the right things in interviews. He's just like what, like the Premier League and want from players. But at the end of the day, like if he's not good, he's not good. You can't be picking players based on just their personality.
Kane
And I
gives you
think that's
that.
what Ole did too, is just picking players based on personality.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
Kane gives you that. He's
he is
got great
100% picking players on personality. There's just no other way to say it. As much as it sucks to say it, it is. I would even question now is the time to find your perfect coach before a World Cup because it's cutting it too short to make a change. Once they hit November, you can't do anything. You're gonna have to roll with it. And do you really want to wait another 4 years for some of these players? Like I would sincerely change now. And I would look some of the
Now's too
coaches
late,
as well.
no?
Yeah, it could very well be too late already,
Too late.
but if they want to make a
Yeah.
change, it's now. Being relegated, I would have been like, this is a terrible sign. It's like before war. If your main soldiers aren't fit, then you're screwed, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So World Cup, who do you think is going to be who's your final four? But my question, since Eves had to take a step away, Josh,
Yeah.
the best player right now for England, is it not Reece James?
The best player for England?
The most crucial player for England right now, the one who's
I would definitely say Reece James. Yeah, like
nobody. I watched him in that game, that England versus Italy game. Kane was off. Kane was shooting as if he was shooting into as if he was playing football.
Yeah, he made a few bad decisions
right?
where he could have just laid it off.
Sterling couldn't do anything on the wing. He get the ball up into the wing, and they just knew how to trap him. Jude Bellingham was the only other person I saw that was actually class. But every time James had the ball, where there was two defenders, one defender, three defenders, he was the only one that put in crosses that were getting onto Kane's head. He was the only one that was putting in who had the vision to see these beautiful triangle plays. He was going to the back, to the front. Reece James is the most underrated English player right now, and I like it that way because I want him to come to Real Madrid.
Well, I was gonna say, man, I think he might be the future Madrid right back.
Yeah. The
No, man,
question,
don't say that. Don't say that. I'm hoping Barcelona. Please don't say that.
No, we're talking about Reece James.
The question was, is Reece James not the best or most informed English player right now for national?
He's the guy I buy every year on FIFA.
Yeah,
for the last 3 seasons. I buy every single year at FIFA. My first transfer is Reece for Barcelona. I'm like, forget Trent, bring in Reece.
100%.
So if I hear Reece is going to Barcelona, to Madrid, I'm going to have a serious fit. I'm literally, this is not going to be cool.
Yeah, just going to delete him from the game. Just delete him from the game.
I want to say him and Timber. I don't know if you guys heard about Timber from
Timber is
Ajax.
good too, yeah.
Yeah, Timber is good. So he's a center back.
I'm here, Timber. What position he plays?
Timber,
so he plays center back at Ajax.
Oh.
Because we were linked to him. We actually supposed to have gotten him as well.
Who
Josh,
got him?
You're linked to everybody that's 80 mil.
To United in the summer.
Man, stop it, Josh. Stop it. You have Varane. You have Maguire.
We eventually got Martinez, but we end up getting Timber. But I'm okay with that decision.
So we're in World Cup.
Okay. Oh,
in your order.
Without emotions aside, just based on
always put your emotions aside, man. We're all supposed to.
No, I just mean in terms of I just mean like because I was thinking about certain teams, but let's put emotions aside. I will Final Four for the World Cup. Argentina is looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like Argentina, I think they're looking good. I can see Argentina in the mix. I want to say Brazil, but if Brazil, they come in straight, they're not so focused on the Neymar drama. It's just they come in as a team. I can see Brazil ending there. You mentioned Spain as well. And I want to say the team I'm really impressed with, that's not even a big name. I want to say, who's the team I was actually watching the other day that I said played good football? Oh, crap. No, it's not. I don't think it's Denmark I was thinking of. Can I come back to that? There's a team that I've been saying they've been playing like a team. Okay. They've been playing good football.
Okay. So for me, while you muddle on that, for me, I think Final Four for World Cup, I think it's very easy, and I'll put an asterisk on England. I think England won't make it into the Final Four, but I think they should. I think England has the ability to win this World Cup, and if they don't win this World Cup, the next 4 years is probably going to be very problematic, but also might benefit them because Maguire probably won't be called up. Sterling probably won't be called up in 4 years from now, and that's positives for England. The problem is 4 years from now, Kane will most likely be will actually be like closer. He'll be like closer for Germany when the World Cup was in Brazil. I don't know if you guys remember that, where you'll come on as the OG striker and do what you got to do when they need it to be done. The Final Four for me, I think, is Brazil. I think it's Argentina. I don't think Argentina has the ability to win because you just have to lock down Messi and everybody else falls apart. It's very easy. They beat Honduras 3-0, and they didn't look like they had the firepower to continue that way. When you're getting goals from Lo Celso, who couldn't even make it in Conte or Mourinho's Tottenham, you question yourself, right? But he's a fine player. So Brazil, Argentina. And then I think on the other end, I think it's Spain and France. And for me, I think it'll be France for England if between those two in terms of being in the Final Four. But outside of that, I don't really see anybody else pushing that far into it out of South America or out of Europe. I think Germany doesn't have the striking power that they need. Werner ain't it. We all knew that from time. I also don't think that the Netherlands is quite there. And I think Belgium is past their prime. Over-reliance on KDB again. If you're over-relying on, that's my biggest problem with City. I'm like, if Belgium and City reliance on Kevin De Bruyne is going to be the downfall of both of those teams. Because he's been having injury prone the last few seasons, and the amount of games he's going to have to put on his shoulders, and to play that many top level games, that's the problem, right? It's the amount of top level games it weighs on you mentally and
Intensity, yeah.
right. And KDB will have to play. I think out of all of the outfield players, because obviously Courtois I think is gonna have the most top level games that's going to weigh on him. I think KDB out of outfield players going to have the most top level games played out of anybody, and that's going to be the downfall of either Belgium or City, and hopefully not both if you're a City fan.
The one to say is the one fortunate thing that I think KDB and Belgium have is they have a pretty easy group, like on paper, obviously on paper, but you can, games you can rest him against Morocco, even though you still want him to get that, that team, especially they're not playing that many games for the World Cup. But I think he doesn't have an intense group, so that could help him, and depends on what the bracket's going to look
it's just
like.
a group stage, though.
Sorry? Yeah, just the groups, but at least that gives you a bit of resting time, right? At least to not play as hard. But the team I was going to put, like just using your asterisk thing, is Portugal. But I was actually going to say Switzerland.
That's who it was. It was Portugal.
I was going to say Switzerland is a team that they just play as a team. And so certain teams like that, like Switzerland, Serbia, those teams are just hard to beat because they play like a team.
Isn't Denmark in the World Cup?
Sorry?
Isn't Denmark in the World Cup, Yves?
Also, Denmark is good too.
I think Denmark will make it to the quarters as well. But I need to make one little tweak before you finish, and I'll stop talking. I honestly think that England and Portugal have a higher probability of making the Final Four than France, only because both of them are a team already. Portugal wasn't a team up until this World Cup, up until the Euros, right? They were, is it going to be Ronaldo? And now everybody's accepted that Ronaldo is not the star. And now, and Bruno has really accepted that he's not the future star. And so everybody's kind of coming together. And my boy, Leão, I've been saying it, man, you heard it here first. I said Tuchel was garbage, and he ended up being garbage. I said that Asensio was garbage, and he ended up being garbage. I got some pretty solid predictions, so watch out for my boy. Leandro Leão is going to be the star of the World Cup if Portugal make it to the Final Four. That's all I want to say. So
the reason I put an asterisk on Portugal is because historically in tournaments, they seem to have some type of luck that no matter how bad they play, they seem to make it to so far in the tournament. So that's why I put Portugal there. But yeah, I guess Yves, you can
take us home, Yves. Take us home.
Teach us. So I mean, you guys brought some great points along. Look at the Final Four for the World Cup. I'll go with France being the favorite, which is because we won the previous one. Big asterisks from the injuries. Can't say it enough. So they need to be a team. I haven't seen enough to call them a team. Also, what everybody is always afraid of is the World Cup curse, and I'm super afraid of it. The World Cup curse is whenever the previous winner gets kicked out first. So
that's
France
why
plays
I said
Denmark.
I didn't want to go based on emotions. I said emotions aside. If you notice, that's
exactly.
What I
so if I look at it on paper, France cannot lose this one. They have premium players, Real Madrid, Barcelona. You look at all the players at the PSG and so forth. Every single player is stacked. They have zero excuses apart from injuries. So that's their biggest downfall. Second would be Brazil. I think they're not to be screwed with. They're a real powerful team. As long as they don't give the ball to Neymar, they're fine. Because Neymar will not be that guy in the final seconds.
He's changed. He's a whole new man.
Yeah, he's totally changed until the World Cup hits.
He does seem more mature. I know.
The summer thing kind of was like a reality check for him too, right?
Let's wait for the carnival and then we can talk. Let's wait for the carnival.
Oh my god, Neymar is to Yves, Asensio is to Jeff. Let's
I can't stand the guy. I can't stand the way he plays. I can't stand the way he falls. I can't stand anything about him. So Neymar, as long as they don't pass to him, he'll be fine. I'll put Argentina in it. I'll put Argentina because it's Messi's last World Cup, most likely, and I know how badly he wants it. That team is still good. If they can figure it out, they're dangerous. And then the last team won't be Portugal. It won't be England. It'll be Spain. I think Spain are dangerous because they have that youth. They follow a system. There's no ego in that team, and that scares me the most. The last time I haven't seen an ego in a team was Italy, and they won that Euro.
Mm-hmm.
So Spain is a big threat. I think Portugal, sooner or later, Cristiano Ronaldo will make a mess out of it. I think England, the coach, will make self-destruct automatically, so that's fine. But yeah, it'll be a different World Cup because it's the winter, but I think the usual suspects will be there. The reason I haven't named Germany in there is because I haven't seen German players step up to that level yet.
No.
And I haven't named Belgium because I actually think Belgium will not make the actual the next round. I think it'll be first Canada and second Croatia. So I think Belgium will be kicked out.
Wow, that's a huge.
The Maple
That's a huge
Leafs.
one.
Watch out for the Maple Leafs. I
I
hear
think
that,
Canada
man.
will
Hey,
be
you know what?
first.
I like your optimism. Because I couldn't say that about that group because it would have been too emotional. But you know, people need to watch out for Canada. We're still on form. Our friendlies are doing well. But
Yeah.
I honestly think it's going to be like you said. I still think it's going to be Belgium and Canada, but because Courtois is just too, he will keep them in the game. But you know, I think when it comes to Portugal, I honestly, I don't know, man. I don't see I see Ronaldo has changed the way I see Neymar has changed. Now I'm gonna allow them to prove me wrong. That's how much I believe in them, because dude could have left United if he wanted to. He could have left. He really could have. But football means the most to him, as much as his legacy. Dude is even talking about being in the next World Cup, which I think is a little bit extra.
Who is this, Ronaldo?
This is Ronaldo, but
maybe as an assistant coach, but not player. Not in this lifetime. Not in this lifetime.
Don't kill
Not
me.
this
But the
lifetime.
thing is that even if you take Ronaldo and Neymar out of both Portugal and Brazil, they are still frightening, and that's the thing.
For sure,
they're still.
But
frightening.
if I compare Portugal to England, I'll still take England if they didn't have that crap coach.
If they didn't have the crap coach, because I think he's going to pick.
If I take
Wealth of
exactly.
riches.
If I take England versus Spain, I look at the egos and I'm like Spain all the way.
Easy.
Yeah, so that's the reason. That's the reason I didn't name Portugal. I know Portugal, like the guys on the verge of surprising would be England, Portugal, and would probably be like maybe a Belgium if they get their shit together, but most likely they won't. So,
but historically,
the usual suspects
against Portugal always goes into penalties, and then England drops the ball.
I will say that the easiest group I've seen is again the Argentinian group. So. We won't really see a real Argentina until they get to the next round. The toughest group is the usual suspects, Spain and Germany. And then you have France that kind of plays the same, the guys are playing tonight, which is my home country as well, Denmark and Tunisia. So Tunisia, France is always a battle because of the history they have between them.
Yeah.
Denmark will be an interesting one because I still think Denmark is on the verge. I think they have a great team, again, without an ego. Which, for me, when you get to this place, without an ego wins more than anything.
I think Denmark is the new Netherlands, because Netherlands used to be that team.
Yeah.
The Netherlands and Spain, who were always like, it's a team, all in, all out. But I think Denmark is now that new team that's going to surprise people now that Netherlands has dropped, because Van Dijk, I don't know what happened to that guy. And I don't know who else they have on their team other than Dumfries and Depay. And Depay's injured, so. I agree. Denmark is a team to watch. I'm looking forward to the France and Denmark game in 15 minutes. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'll say this: the moment you hear from England, it's coming home, is the moment they're going to be disqualified.
I don't think they're doing that this year, especially.
I would pray for them.
English fans are actually nervous because they don't want Southgate, and you saw the booze that happened.
And they're playing the USA. If they lose to USA. There's no way anyone can say England's a good team ever again in the face of the earth. Because if they lose to USA, having that much of a stacked team in the Prem, I will never take England seriously ever again. And if I hear it's coming home anytime soon, I'm telling you, they're going to be disqualified. It's going to get to their head as it does every single time.
The moment they come out of the group stage, you're going to hear that trend on Twitter. It's
all of a sudden Southgate will do it. All of a sudden,
even if they win by penalties and they should have lost, it's coming home. That's just how England is. You know?
Yeah, next thing there'll be a whole documentary of how Southgate started his career.
It'll be on the zone.
The first Englishman to live.
I guess I'll ask you guys, what's the I would say, who would be the leading Asian and African team outside of what we just named?
The leading Asian team?
Yeah, Asian and African, because it's the two areas. I mean, we're not going to say Qatar is going to make it to the next round, right? Let's be honest.
No. In Africa,
South Korea and Senegal.
Yeah, and South Korea. I agree.
Yeah, I think South Korea could be a nice quarterfinalist as well. Could be, yeah. You never know. Senegal is going to be an interesting one. I really like Senegal, but it's the same with African teams every single time. They just don't have enough to get over the hurdle, which is a shame. Which is really a shame.
They are just not organized. If we can get a coach, like what happens, and honestly, it's not even the coach. It's the FAs. The football associations of the African countries are just not organized to be focused on winning. They're just focused on bringing in a certain level of marketing because of the bottom line. That's it. Let's be very honest. It's rarely ever about the game. It is most often, and even the players, they feel that, and that's why it's, they get to penalties and they all try to do something fancy because they all want to be the I want to be the one who Netflix makes a story about. And that's I feel like what comes out of Africa, and it's sad. But Asia, yeah, I think South Korea is really a dark horse, and let's be honest. When it comes to the World Cup, there's always one or two dark horses that make it pretty far, and Denmark was that for the Euros. Italy was a shock for the Euros as well.
Yeah.
Right, and there was another team that kept on winning.
Switzerland.
It was Iceland. The Euro before it was, or the World Cup before.
Yeah,
that was
Iceland.
World Cup before was Iceland. But remember this recent Euro, there was another Eastern European team. It wasn't Slovenia, was it? No, was it?
Oh yeah, you're right.
It was a team, and
it was Serbia. Wasn't it?
Susek or whatever his name. He's on there.
Yeah, Serbia.
So it was Serbia?
Yeah, because Serbia, they actually
they kept on going far. It was a shocker.
Spot.
Right, but I think Croatia is the type of team who will make you struggle. I'm not sure
why I say Belgium's in trouble.
One goal, except for when they played in the final against France.
Which is why I said
more than one goal.
Yeah, which is why I said if you look at the group, I think Canada is probably the strongest Canada and Belgium are probably strongest in that group, but I wouldn't cast out Morocco because of their speed. I wouldn't cast out Croatia because of their speed. But if any African and Asian team is looking for a coach, I heard Tuchel is available. Just saying.
And with that, that's where we should draw the line. We don't have enough time to go through why I think Tuchel should never coach any team that Jeff likes.
Can you imagine? I think the national team of Ghana has just appointed Thomas Tuchel.
I would.
At this rate,
I'm
if I was Qatar,
flag and putting on my Canadian flag. That's the time. Right now, I have both of them.
At this rate, since PSG was so close to Qatar, Qatar seems like a great choice for Tuchel. Why not?
You go.
Qatar has quite a few players in the Bundesliga.
They should really get a coach like that.
If they like wasting money, right? Why not?
Why not? What it is.
I guess that's it, guys. It's this has definitely been a fun show. Does anyone have anything else to add on to that, or any other
it's going to be interesting? I would say it'll be interesting with Champions League and World Cup. So lots more to come along, and we'll definitely do a lot of sessions during the World Cup. It'll be fun.
It's definitely been fun. Obviously, we've got France versus Denmark coming up in a couple of minutes, so going to be watching that. And yeah, it's definitely been fun. This is going to be a crazy season. Like Arsene Wenger said, this is probably the best time for teams like Arsenal or underdogs to actually do something this season because, like we said, it's an unorthodox World Cup year where it's in the middle of the season, so we're going to be seeing a lot of top players carrying injuries, a lot of big teams playing a lot of games, so it's going to be an interesting season, World Cup as well. So definitely been fun, guys. Till next time.
The only thing I want to say, the only positive to come out of the World Cup being in November, December is the fact that now we're going to be watching football in the summer. We're going to be watching league, what's it called? Club football deeper into the summer because you're gonna have to push everything beyond May. So that's a positive because positive for the footy fans, terrible for the footy fans' wives and girlfriends.
I apologize to my wife in advance for all the football that I'm going to be watching during Christmas. I really apologize, and all the podcast sessions. I apologize out there already.
And it's not even just football, because that's the same time as basketball playoffs. So that's
Oh my
huge.
goodness.
That's huge.
It's a big year for sports, period, gentlemen. It's a big year for sports.